皆さんこんにちは and welcome to Shogo's classroom. 皆さんこんにちは and welcome to Shogo's podcast. Thank you so much for coming today too, guys. By the way, this is completely off today's main topic, but I'm really happy because today is a day that Hinata will start going to kindergarten again. Summer break has finished finally. So the thing is that of course Hinata, if she goes to kindergarten, she'll be able to play with a lot of her the toys and with her friends and such. And of course, having her in the house all the time is great. We love her and everything, but she just seems so bored inside the house. We would go for a walk once in a while, but Harumi and I are both very busy. It's very hot in Kyoto, and also Harumi is pregnant, and we can't stay outside for such a long time, and everywhere is busy because it's a holiday season. So we stayed indoors for quite a long time most of the time, and Hinata looked really bored, and we were getting really tired of trying to keep her what should I say, entertained and everything. So finally, Hinata gets to go to preschool, kindergarten again. So we are actually very happy about that. Yeah, I'm really Harumi will be able to work a little bit during the day as well, and hopefully we'll be able to finish up that gender reveal video soon. Maybe it's already out by the time we post this podcast. I don't know yet, but anyways. Today, I like to talk about something related to kimono, actually. Now, I hardly talk about kimono on this podcast channel, but might be almost my first time, actually, but it's something really important that I really noticed when I went to the men's kimono shop recently. If you've been following my Instagram account, I actually went to a men's kimono shop in Kyoto, and basically they're a really expensive place, a shop where they make the kimono for each person's body size. They measure you, and it's all, what should I say, handmade, and it's all order made too. But the quality is amazing though. If I had a lot of money, I would love to buy a kimono from them. I will probably in the near future because I do have to have some good quality kimono once in a while if I have to be, for example, on a proper stage or something. So it'd be great if I can do that. And I'd highly recommend you, if you have a chance to come to Kyoto and if you are interested in men's kimono, going and just checking out their stuff, or maybe just buying some of these smaller items like their shoes. Well, shoes I should say, like the geta, or possibly the zori, the seta, all of these shoes, or maybe the haori himo, which is the strings that you put onto attach the haori, the kimono coat and everything. These items looked really beautiful, and also the obi too aren't that expensive, but the quality is really high. So I highly recommend you taking a look at them. But here comes today's main topic, and personally for me, it's something that might be related to all of the other Japanese traditional culture, so-called, too. But to make a long story short, my conclusion is we should not forget the purpose. We should not forget the purpose of why we are doing these things. Now, as I was talking about in the other podcast about handing the katana, how to properly hand a katana, and I was saying that it's really important that we need to think that there has to be some kind of reason behind why we do that. I mean, there's a lot of history, and a lot of people have been thinking about how or what's the best way to do this. So it's really important that when you learn about something new, it's really important that you think that, okay, so this must have some kind of purpose. And then there was a comment saying that, well, Shogo, you always say that the elderly, generation are getting in your way, and them saying that this is how it's supposed to be are the things that you're always frustrated about, right? Yeah. And that is true, but also at the same time, there are a lot of things that we should maintain and continue, obviously. And the difference, how we're going to be distinguishing that is, from my point of view, if it is aligned with its original purpose. If it's aligned with its original purpose is very important. Take, for example, tea ceremony. The original purpose of tea ceremony. Why was it born? Why are we doing it? It's because it's a way, training in tea ceremony is a way to learn how to express your hospitality to others, how to care about others, how to notice other people's emotions or feelings or thoughts, and how to express yours without using words, but just by preparing the room, or the tea or the sweet. And not just with words, but expressing your appreciation, your love to other people just by your fingertips as you do the tea ceremony procedures. Now, this is the main purpose. Now, when it turns into, no, that's not the way matcha should be made, or no, we should never use that kind of matcha, This is a little bit off the main purpose of tea ceremony, right? If that kind of matcha that you call is bad is the type of matcha that the guests coming today like, shouldn't you be using that matcha? It might not be conventional. It might be a different kind of matcha, they usually don't use. But if it's something that the guest that's actually coming to you today, isn't that the matcha you should be using? But that's the kind of thing that happens in every world of traditional culture. Like in Budo, no, that's not the way you should do it. Well, that's not the way you should do it maybe like 10 years ago, but what about today? Like tea ceremony, for another example, sorry. There are people who say that we should not use running water. We should not use running water when we prepare tea tools. Because in the past, there were no sinks. There were no, water, what should I say? A place where you can just literally wash your hands just by, turning your wrist, right? Or just pressing something up or pressing a button. Getting a lot of water is something very modern. So in the past, what tea masters did was that they would go in the morning up to the mountains and get the fresh water from the mountains and come back down and use that pail of water for the whole day. So there are some people who say that you should not use running water. But my sensei, this is not my opinion, my sensei is completely against that because it's not hygienic. Obviously, you're using a pail of water for the whole day and you dip your hands in it, you dip your bowls and everything else in it inside that bucket of water all day long. And that's not very clean, right? And it wasn't clean in the past, obviously. So my sensei is like, why would you provide your guests with something that's not perfectly clean or hygienic when you have the option that you can do so? Why would you do that? I mean, that's what kind of omotenashi or hospitality is that? That's just your ego, isn't it? So that's my sensei's opinion. Now, this borderline is very, very difficult, to be honest, because some people might think, well, you going up in the morning to the mountains and getting that bucket of water already gives your feelings, your energy, to your guests, doesn't it? Doesn't that be something important kind of thing? That opinion could exist as well. And that does also make sense. I mean, you waking up very early in the morning for your guests might be something as a way to express your appreciation. But again, that sounds a little bit of ego too, but there might be other opinions. So this borderline is really important, and this is what I'm trying to find as I do my trainings. But anyways, at the shop that I went, I experienced something very similar at the kimono shop. Now, the kimono manager, this is one of the things that I really, really dislike. And because you guys listening to my podcasts are my best friends, I want you to listen to me complaining again. But again, Japan is a very hierarchical society, right? The older you get, the better you get, the more important you get in society. The younger you are, the least important you are, basically. And that's the reason why Japanese people hate doing, using their money for the future, helping us, like, for example, single mothers or parents or children having more wealthy lives. No, they love using more money for the elderly. And that's the reason why you can see Japanese society right now, right? That's what's happening. It's really, really happening. This is not just my emotions. So what happens whenever we, Team Let's Ask Shogo, us 28, 27-year-old people, go to these places like the kimono shops? The moment they see us, they're like, oh, okay, young people. You guys probably don't know anything about kimono, right? And, you feel it from the things that they say. For example, in their greetings, the manager of the kimono shop. Now, I really, really learned a lot from her, and I'm so glad that she was such a kind person to teach us so many wonderful things. But just like my sensei, remember whenever I did a podcast once talking that she would often say that, well, because Shogo-san, because you're American, you might not understand this, but blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, why do you say that? That hurts me a lot, that kind of thing. So 99.9% I love and respect my sensei, but that 0.1% sometimes hurts me kind of thing. The shop manager was a very wonderful lady, but still at the same time, I really did not like her attitude in this aspect where she looks down at us very, very clearly. She was clearly doing that. And one of the things she said, for example, is that, oh, it's such a hot day. Thank you so much for coming to my shop. I mean, I'm used to wearing kimono, but you're not, right? So you must be really, really hot right now. Let me turn on the air conditioning for you. You don't even know who we are yet. We just met you. We contacted you through email, yeah, but you don't even know what we do. What if we already had license as a first-class kimono dresser, right? There are very, very high chances that a 28-year-old would have a first-class national qualification of kimono dresser. Why would you suddenly say that as your first greeting, right? So that's the thing that often happens, especially in Kyoto too. Yeah, and I really, really dislike it. You don't even know us, You don't even know how we live. We do wear kimono every day. So that kind of stuff happens. But anyways, what she was telling us, there was two things that she told me that I was really, really surprised by. Number one is, but they're both about the hakama. I actually wore the kimono to go to the video filming, and I was wearing my hakama, and she was talking about the length of my hakama, and also number two is about the tie that I have in the front. Now hakama is the samurai clothing, basically the very baggy pants that I always wear in my videos, and basically number one, what she said about the length is that my hakama looks a little bit too long. Yeah, so it really differs depending on what you do. Like in no theater, the hakamas are really, really short. But in Iaido or Budo martial arts, people tend to say to you that the hakama needs to be much longer to completely hide your feet. But in different ryuha, they say different stuff too. And she was saying that in tea ceremony, for example, I believe she is doing tea ceremony herself, I don't know. But she told me that it's a little bit too long, and it should be about the length where the hem of the hakama barely touches the top surface of my feet, basically. And I'm like, okay, I've never heard of that before. And I asked my sensei afterwards, and she said, no, it could be longer. Actually, the longer, the better, she was saying. And I was like, okay, that's completely different. And number two, she also talked about, again, as I said earlier, about a tie in front of the hakama, right? The tie in front of the hakama, I always teach, like in my videos where I taught about the hakama, tutorial video of how to wear the hakama and everything. There's this tie called the jumonji, which is a shape of the kanji character ju, which means 10. So it's basically a cross. And she was explaining to me, because I had that jumonji as always on my tie, and I was wearing a rather casual kimono to the shop. And she was like, may I ask why you have that jumonji? And I was like, why do I have a jumonji? What kind of question is that, I thought. And I was like, is there a problem? And she said, well, jumonji was originally something that you only do at celebrations. So that would include the montsukyu, so the kamon, the black kamon crest kimono, where you'd usually wear at weddings, maybe funerals, these kind of special events. And she was like, well, maybe celebration, but yeah, probably funerals, those kind of big events basically in your life. Yeah. And she was like, why would you do that? And there are actually different ways of tying the front tie of a hakama too. There's one called ichimonji, which is just one straight line that represents the kanji ichi, which means one, number one. Yeah. And there are different more casual ways of tying the front. And she was like, you should do that. But the thing is, I'm pretty sure if you wear a kimono, if you train in Budo martial arts and such, you'd be like, well, that's something that I have been taught too, and that is the length of the hakama that I have too, for example, right? So the thing is, she is the only person I've ever met that taught me these things. She's the only person I've ever met that taught me these things. So that means I train in 2 ryuha styles in Iaido, 1 in shakuhachi, 1 in tea ceremony, 1 in no theater, and none of my senseis ever taught me that I should not have a jumonji in my casual kimono. Nor has any of my sensei taught me that the hem of my kimono is too long or too short. On my first few years, I did, of course, and that's the reason why I got my new kimono to adjust that. But ever since, no one has taught me that. And she just says it to me as if, like, I don't know anything about kimono. Now, this is the point where we get back to we are kind of starting to lose the purpose. What is the focus of fashion in the first place, right? Wasn't fashion originally meant to, first of all, express yourself? Maybe make other people reassure you that you are a proper person because you can match the code of fashion at the opportunity, for example. It might be a perfect way to make someone else happy. For example, if you wear a very pretty dress to a date with someone, or if you wear a very beautiful, very neat suit to someone's party, maybe they can make other people happy as well. Wasn't that the original purpose of fashion? Like, why would I have to not do the jumonji tie in front of my hakama when you are the only person that ever taught me, even though I've been in the world of traditional culture for almost 8 years now, and if I suddenly not do the Jumonji right now, currently, if you go, for example, on the internet and go to other kimono shops where they sell men's kimono or hakama, all of the models have Jumonji, the cross on the front of their hakama. If I suddenly had a ichimonji, which is just one straight line, I think a lot of people would say, oh, this person probably mismade the Jumonji and accidentally made it into one straight line kind of thing. So that's going to be happening. And so fashion and these rules absolutely need to change. And again, we need to always remember why we're doing this. Why does the hem of the hakama need to be that length? Because my tea ceremony sensei said, if it's dragging, it's not good, but it should be the perfect line where you don't drag it, but it's as long as possible kind of thing. So what she said and what the kimono shop manager said is different, right? And my tea ceremony sensei always has purposes for everything she teaches, reasons behind what she teaches. So I really felt that we shouldn't again get stuck to the idea of this is how it was supposed to be, or this is how it used to be. No, it used to be is important. Maybe back in the time there was a reason for that, of course. But today, kimono are worn only in very rare occasions. So just wearing a kimono is already very special for many people, for example, right? And then the Jumonji is a very nice way to tie it. It's a very easy way to tie it, first of all, and it just simply looks fashionable when you do it. So if that changes, that should change. Because again, 99% of the people wearing hakama has the Jumonji, unless you're doing a special other Budo martial art like Aikido or Kyudo and such. So I really thought that this point is very important. So just a while ago, I said that we should maintain some traditions because of this, the katana handing. And now I'm saying that no, we should change this because blah, blah, blah. The main difference is the purpose. If it's aligned with the purpose, again, katana handing, as I explained in the other podcast about handing a katana properly, safely to someone, that has a reason. Again, we're sitting on the floor, and you need to be respectful to the katana because it is a deity in Japan, so on and so forth. There is a reason behind it. What kind of reason is behind me doing the ichimonji tai when nobody else is doing it, right? That's just my ego. And if I wanted to do it, I'd be happy to. But that person, the shop manager, I personally felt has no right to look down on me and as if she's teaching me something, even though she's not even my sensei, and I just went to her shop. So that is something I felt a little bit uncomfortable with talking with her. 1% of our conversation, 99% was great, and it was something that I really wanted to share with you, and also at the same time make it very clear within myself too. So then everyone, thank you very much for listening to such a very long podcast. Oh my gosh, I cannot believe it's already been 18 minutes now since I started recording. But anyways, thank you so much. I always say at the end of these live streams about the ultimate goal of my life, and it's to make all Japan lovers' dreams come true. So I know there's a lot of people studying Japanese, willing to come to Japan to study, travel, work, or even train in traditional culture and such. However, I am very afraid that Japan will not be able to make everyone's dreams come true in the future because we're facing a lot of social problems, we are losing our traditional culture, and the younger generations who are supposed to be carrying on the good things about Japan are dying because of all the social issues being shoved against them. So I really want to dedicate my life trying to make Japan a better place. I want to try to solve the social problems, preserve and evolve traditional culture, and also help out the younger generations so they can have a brighter future. And to do this, the nearest goal I have right now is to achieve 2 million subscribers by January 2023 on our main channel. So your likes and comments help to boost our videos to new viewers who have never seen our channel before, so it'd be great if you can help us out. Thank you so much for all of your support, guys. And by the way, there are 3 new businesses that we are thinking of right now. 1 is the merchandise, 2 is online lessons, and 3 is challenging ourselves in the tourism industry again, holding an activity in real life in Kyoto. Yeah. So in real life, in person, I guess. In real life, these are all things that are happening in real life, but in person, I should say. And they are all we have a goal of starting all 3 of these businesses within 2022. So I hope you can look forward to our new information coming out soon. Thank you so much, guys.